It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Saturday, as I call it, and we are here to give you nothing but the best in terms of football and in terms of sports, where sports is regarded. And congratulations to Red Arrows, who managed to scoop their second league title since 2004. And I'm your host, Amos, aka Amore, and I'm not alone on set. I'm joined by Uncle Rapson and Augustine. Uncle Rapson, first of all, welcome back from your long weekend that you had.
It's always nice to be here and to be in the midst of two gentlemen who love sport and the best that we do week in, week out. And to our dear viewers who are joining us this morning, a very, very good welcome to all of you, and looking forward to a very, very nice sporting weekend, all roads leading to Coloma Stadium. There's a team somewhere in Charleston which is hosting the final. So we should be able to go and have a very, very nice time this afternoon. Good morning to you, Augustine.
Good morning, Uncle Robson. Good morning, Amos. We return all the glory and honor to the Most High God. Champions.
I know.
18 years of wait. I think to me it's been a very, very long time. I think it means a lot to Red Arrows Football Club and to everyone associated to this football club. We are not Nkana, we are not Zesco. We do not win the league title every season. We are not even in the brackets or the conversation of winning the league title. So for this achievement means a lot more than people may think out there. I think to me it's been a very, very wonderful season. Chisimbe and his boys have given us wonderful memories.
Let's say, Augustine, if it was in the EPL, which team would you say is Red Arrows? Because you're saying it's not the team that is part of Zesco United, it's not the team that is part of Zanaco, but it's a team that has managed to scoop the league title. Would you say it's a team more of Everton?
It's more of Tottenham. You think they are big, you think they are small, you think they are an average side. You do not know where to put them really, because Red Arrows have been in around the top 6, I think, in recent years, but they haven't been breaking into the top 4. But you've seen the success, 2004 winning the league under Matthew Speary, going on in 2007 winning the Mosi Cup again, and 2013 under George Rwandamina managing to win the Barclays Cup, which is now the APSA, and now this time around Chisimbewe managing to deliver the second league title to Red Arrows.
Uncle Rapson, is it something that you saw coming within the season that we are coming to an end?
This was a season of mixed feelings and mixed reactions and mixed results. Well, when you look at how GBFC started the season, really, no one would think Red Arrows would actually bag the title at this time of the year. And when you look at where the league is coming from up to the middle of the season, Red Arrows was nowhere near that position. Consistency was all being given to Green Buffaloes, and Green Buffaloes, we saw Nkwazi taking up that acting position in position 2 for quite a lengthy period of time. And when tables changed, the Nyanta started being Nyanted. We saw the consistency of Red Arrows. The consistency of Red Arrows. Congratulations to Coach Chisimbewe and the entire technical bench of Red Arrows Football Club, including their technical director Oswald, who actually delivered the present. And unfortunately, Coach Oswald, you are not going to see me in that one this afternoon. But thank you so much. Well received, and we will treasure it. It's a souvenir that we are going to keep, and we'll be using it as and when it requires. But nevertheless, I think the hard work that has been put in that team, it all goes back to the season where Chisimbewe decided to cut down on the overload of the veteran players, and I think he cleared about 9 senior players. He started from scratch. He was condemned in certain social media discussions where he got rid of that group. You know the group I'm talking about, about 9 of the veteran players. And the moment he switched, got rid of those, started building the team, we all didn't believe in him theoretically. But his belief, and kudos to the Red Arrows management for believing in him. It's not easy to believe in a young coach like him, a very, very young, talented coach who decides to get rid of veterans, brings in young ones. They didn't start very well, but they gave him time. He recovered. He built consistency. Now they have a state machinery that I can call a state machinery. They have depth in that squad. They have players who can fit in at any time. And one of the things that really impresses me is, look at last weekend's game, the one when they won the league. I think the third goal, he made 3 substitutions. 3 substitutions at once.
A combination.
And all the 3 touched the ball. This one touched it for the first time. The final one was by George Mando. The one that he scored.
I think to me, if we do not just have the records, but to go down as one of the quickest goal by super sub in the league in football, I think to me, George Mando, just upon being introduced, he just made one run from the touchline from being introduced, one run into the box and he scored. I think it will go down as one of the quickest scores.
But let's look at something. I think Uncle Rapson, you've brought up a conversation that we can't avoid talking. You said when Chisimbe was introduced, he got rid of senior players, and we discussed this issue here where we more of argued with Augustine to say, but why that move? And we saw maybe Lusaka Dynamos coming in, getting some players from the players that were asked from the squad. But Augustine, you being a diehard fan, it's something that we all know, Augustine. Is this something that you expected to say, okay, Chisimbe will build a team that will bring
success to
the league title to the club?
I think first I'll start from where it all started, because if you remember, George Luandamina was at Red Arrows during 2011 and 2013, and he built a very, very strong side, playing beautiful football. You remember the consistency, Arrows upsetting the tables, Zanaco wanting to win the league, Red Arrows upsetted them on the final day. Power Dynamos likewise at Sunset Stadium. Remember those times? Yeah, so he had built a very, very strong squad, George Luandamina, with most of those players which were part of his 2007 Canada outing. You remember Danny Munyao, Joseph Zimba, Goodson. He had a lot of players who he had worked with. And the problem that I saw at Red Arrows was
the only team that went for pre-season
in Spain.
Yes.
So after
the results are in 2022.
From 2013 when George Luandamina, 2014 George Luandamina parted ways with Red Arrows. He was thought to be on administrative leave. Then Charles Kafula took over. Absa Cup, Child Shoot Games semi-final at the Davis Stadium, beat Zesca United, then lost Tunkana in the final. From that time, they appointed the current technical director in Oswald Mutapa. He came on and took on the reins for Red Arrows. Red Arrows were almost relegated that season, if you remember. They had to bring in Albert Kachinga to save Red Arrows that season, and he did that on the final day, beating Zanaco, making them lose the league title. From that period up to 2018-2019, when Chisimbewe took over, Red Arrows had the same players. I think they had the longest serving players in the league, because that was George Luandamina's side which built, and all the coaches that came in, they didn't change that squad, not because they were bad players, but sometimes the relationship didn't work out. They had done their part, and Chisimbewe realized that if he had to move forward, if he had to build his own squad, he needs to start from scratch by releasing some of the senior players, not because they didn't do well for football club, but yeah, exactly. Chisimbewe thought now it's high time these guys move on for new adventures in their career, and for this club to move forward, we have to part ways. Then he brought in a lot of young players. One of them was Prosper Chiluya. He wasn't seeing a lot of game time at Kara Warriors because he was deputy to Zakaria Chilongo. She brought him to Red Arrows. One was Felix Ulaya. A lot unknown in Zambian football. He got him from Nakambala, brought him to Red Arrows. That first season, he didn't make a lot of signings because he just brought Prosper Chiluya, Felix Ulaya, and young Trezor Ilunga, the winger. And you would see now he started building a side around James Chamanga. They played to James Chamanga's strength, and he scored goals that kept the team going. The first half of the season, when Red Arrows released the 11 players, they were just goal difference was separating them from being in the relegation zone in the first half of the league. Then they turned it around in the second half of the league. First game was against GBFC in the second round when they won 3-0. They went 10 games without losing a game, and which saw them get closer to the top 4. And eventually, Red Arrows made the top 4 on the final day after picking up a draw against Sensations. So it's not something that has just happened overnight. It's something which they have been working hard in the background. I did a lot of articles when things were not going well at Arrows. I told the fans trust the process, because I understood what Chisimbewe was trying to do with his football club. He had a short-term plan, medium-term plan, and long-term plan. Yeah, because I think to me it's not bragging or something, but it's something which I saw at the first. I think if you remember when they released the 11 players, I think to me I said I wasn't very much disappointed, because I knew Red Arrow's attitude towards games. They would just turn up for big games because they are very familiar with the place. I think to me there was no motivation which got them going. So they had to part ways for the relationship to work.
I think just adding to Augustine, I think for me, when you take over the reins and your philosophy is different, those are the senior players that had worked with different coaches in the past
and had played with Chisimbewe.
Philosophies. Where still your teammate who probably was having
an issue with
even game time, you must have even been having more game time than him. Then now he becomes a coach, and to believe in his philosophy when we are all grown up, almost the same, okay, not really same age, but a situation where I've played with you for a couple of seasons, then suddenly you become my coach. There will be that resistance to change. The best that could have ever happened at Red Arrows is exactly what Coach Chisi did. Get rid of that crop, bring in a new crop that will understand your philosophy, that will understand your new ways of working and how you are going to execute it. And this is exactly what the results are. We have seen these results. The consistency of Red Arrows cannot go unnoticed, to say the least.
And just to add on from what last season, I think to me there was Charles Kafula, who was technical director, who initially was part of this team which was starting a new project. Unfortunately enough, he's not part of the team, but he did his part, I think, to me, and we must say Charles Kafula. It made it easy for one Oswald Mutapa to come in because there was that role which was for technical director, and credit must go to people like Songwe Chalo who have moved on now. He's with Power Dynamos, he was part of that team. He worked with Chisimbewe closely. Now Chisimbewe has got people like Dominic Yobe he can turn to and trust. Kalidio Kakonje, Metson Lua. So it's a full package. It's a lot of people that have worked tirelessly for this football club. Major Minunga, who is the CEO of the football club, the chairman. I think to me, the people in the administration have made bold decisions. They have recruited well, and you can see what they have done this season. They have had the most rotation in the Zambian league. They have used almost every player who is registered. They have gave everyone a chance. The competition is healthy, and we have seen Red Arrows go this far.
Just a quick one, Augustine. How was the atmosphere on that day?
I think to me, electric. We have never seen such an atmosphere at Nkoloma Stadium, be it playing against Chambishi, because most of the times that stadium would have been very, very empty on another day if Red Arrows were not going to win the league title. But credit to the fans, they lifted the spirit of the players, and those helicopters and jets that were hovering around the stadium made this they didn't intimidate, they made the atmosphere perfect. And one thing that I must make mention, I think to me, was the attitude of the captain Benedict Chepesho on the day. You could see the will to win. I think to me was fighting for the team. He showed character. He showed that he's a leader. He was leading by example. Credit must go to each and everyone, Red Arrows player. I think to me this has been one of the best seasons by the club standards.
Well, for me, I think I'm shifting my focus to this afternoon. We've spoken about Red Arrows,
yes.
Congratulated them about the league title. But let's look at the two teams that are playing in the finals, in the ABSA finals. And I think for me, man of the moment, the best defender that this country has this season is no other than Trezor. That guy is a good defender. He's a kingpin. You can rely on him. At whatever point, whichever striker is facing, you can rely on him to shoot his goalkeeper, who's a little bit inconsistent, I must confess. I don't know why, but I think his footwork is not so much on point. But coming to this afternoon's game, we have Trezor, a defense kingpin in Red Arrows. Creativity in the midfield, we have Alassana Diarra, of course, being shielded by one Saddam Yusuf. Okay, this team is a marvel to watch. You know, I'm trying to resist talking about it. but clearly, you can't run away from the fact that
they've been good this season, yeah.
It's complete. And you know, sometimes when you sit down, I was trying to look at how NAPSA Stars is going to fare. Look at the striking force of NAPSA Stars. Their top striker is, I think, Msonda Kapembwa. And his total number of goals, if I'm not mistaken, is sitting at, is it 6? For me, that, again, on a different note, gives me the fact that NAPSA Stars do not depend on one striker for goals. That's the difference between these two teams. NAPSA Stars has everybody scoring. That's what has led them to their qualification to the Super League, because everybody else can score. So it's random, it's spontaneous. Anybody who has a chance can convert. So when you look at the opportunity that they have in destabilizing the Red Arrows defense, they have capacity to do that. But the only challenge that is there really is if they can manage to stop play. Alassana Diarra should not be given a lot of respect in midfield. Once you give him space to do that, Augustine, Napsa Stars is finished. If they are going to allow that boy to be getting the ball and roaming around in the midfield, it's rough. It's going to be very, very difficult for Napsa Stars. Look at the Napsa Stars defense. Right back, if they are going to probably, I don't know who they are going to settle for on right back, whether it is this Gift Zulu left back. I'm hoping that it's going to go for Bono Silengo on the left back. Central midfield, or Diambo is back fit. Hopefully he's going to captain the striker, the skipper, Luca. In midfield, I don't expect one Sydney Kalume, the veteran, to stay away. Sydney is going to be the man who's going to stop Alassana Diarra from doing what it does. If it's not Sydney Kalume, then it's going to be Chaniza. Chaniza is one player who's very, very versatile in midfield and is capable of stopping all those attacks. He can throw out those attacks that come as a result of the Red Arrows' style of play. So if we can have either Chaniza or Sydney Kalume trying to stop Alassana Diarra from being very creative, then the backline will be highly protected. Because the likes of Ricky Banda footwork is good, yeah, but I think the most impressive side of him is the aerial balls. And aerial balls come as a result of what? Skipper Benedict Chepeshi's crosses. So the secret here for Napsa Stars is curtail Benedict Chepeshi from throwing in those crosses. Once those crosses keep coming, there is Ricky Banda waiting. The guy is tall and is very good in the air. So it will be a very, very interesting afternoon, I can assure you. Very, very interesting afternoon. When you look at the strength of Red Arrows as well, those are the guys that you can't plan for Alassana. You can't plan for Ricky Banda. You might even discover that the coach will even say, Ricky, you're not even starting this afternoon. Then all your work was, you were concentrating on one player,
and then he's on the bench.
And you know these mind games, yesterday when we went for a presser, okay, this I'm going to say, but I'm not sure what is going to happen. Coach Perry brings in skipper Aaron Katebe for the presser. I laughed, because the last time Aaron Katebe attended the press briefing, it was the semi-finals. What happened to him on the match day?
Didn't play.
He was not even in the squad. Not bench, not even in the squad. So look at yesterday we had Red Arrows, they brought Kaliro. I'm sure Coach Oswald was playing mind games by saying, you Chisi, don't go, let Kaliro go so that those two can have a conversation on their own. So Kaliro came, the goalkeeping coach at Red Arrows, and they brought Edward Tembo. Edward Tembo was there. I know Edward Tembo is a good player, and he was standing in yesterday for Benedict Chepeshi. But we are yet to see whether those two players are going to be part of the game this afternoon. It's very, very interesting, I must say.
I think one thing about Edward Tembo and Kaliro Kakonje, Edward Tembo is one player who has won the Absa Cup with Zesco United, and Kaliro Kakonje won it in 2013 when he was at Red Arrows with George Rwanamina at that time. Maybe that was the reason, to try and take experienced heads to try and lead the team.
But I think one thing,
bring Odiambo won it.
I think if you look at closely, I think I paid a lot of attention to the press conference because I wanted to see what the coaches were going to say on the day, because they didn't give a lot, to be honest.
They were just respecting
each other. I think they were properly psyched before the press conference. I think to me, by both media teams, I think to me they did a fantastic job. You can see Perry Mutapa was trying to shift the pressure to Red Arrows, and Red Arrows was doing likewise, shifting the pressure back to Napsa Stars. Everyone giving respect to each other. I think what we got from the press conference at the end is that Twiza Chaibeda will not be part of the Red Arrows squad because he's out injured.
This one declared one, and the other one declared
Austin, one. Yes, exactly. And Austin Banda, he has got a bereavement. He won't be part of the Napsa Stars side. I think to me it was interesting to see how these coaches were psyched before this press briefing, because it was very, very interesting.
But let's not look at, let's not shy away from the fact that we've seen Napsa botting out Ghana. and we saw it
Say
ended.
they beat Ghana, not booting out.
Okay, they beat Ghana. They managed to beat Ghana, and I know it will be a discussion after the show with Uncle Fred. Are we seeing Napsa Stars holding Red Arrows 90 minutes?
Yeah, I
still
think
post penalties.
They have got that chance. I think they have got all the chance to try and go all the way. This is a cup final. It's there for the taking. I think to me it's 50-50. No one is favorite. If you look at what Napsa Stars have achieved through the season, I think to me it's very, very tough to play in the Eden League. The pitches are not perfect, and they have managed to defy the odds and qualify to the Super League. First time of asking. Not many teams do that. We can see Mighty Mfulia Wanderers are trying hard to come back to the Super League. Nchanga Rangers have been in the wilderness for how many years? City of Lusaka likewise. So it's not an easy league in the Eden League. I think to me it takes a lot of character and solid attitude. You can see Napsa Stars retained almost all their players that got them relegated, those that were playing continental football. So there's nothing about Eden University about these Napsa Stars. I think these are Premier League players who are playing in the wrong league because they made wrong decisions when they're in the Super League, but now they have turned it around. They are now doing the right things. They're back in the Super League, and you can see these Napsa Stars. Kapem Bamson, I've got the name correct. Kapem Bamson has been very, very key to Napsa Stars. I think to me, frustrating enough when they qualified for continental football, they sent him out alone to build Dikon, I think, which didn't sit well for me, I must be honest, because he played a very, very key role in seeing Napsa Stars qualify for continental football. But they've done those right things. They've put the pieces together, brought him back. He's been very, very instrumental. He's going to be very key together with Chaniza Zulu. Napsa Stars do not have a lot of goals in them. Thomas, the top scorer? He doesn't score a lot of goals. He's just good when it comes to hold up play. Sidney Kalume's experience will be very, very key in that middle of the pack, alongside David Odiambo and Luka Banda at the heart of defense. This will give Napsa a chance, a little bit of chance going into the final. And if you look at Red Arrows on the other hand, Uncle Rapson said Napsa Stars have been sharing the goals during the season. Red Arrows have really been sharing the goals because they have got 14 different scorers in the league, which gives you an indication of the strength and depth of this football club. Red Arrows going into this final, Benedict Chepeshi, Prosper Chura will be very, very key because of how Red Arrows play, because they push high up the field, they try and add numbers into their attack. If Napsa Stars can stop that, well and good. Trezor Shibwabwa will be very, very key alongside his partner, Alan Kapila, who is one of the unsung heroes. Alan Kapila has been very, very solid ever since he came into the team. He came into the team halfway through the season when they played just connected at Edwin Imboela Stadium, and he's been a rock. Red Arrows have only lost one game in the second round of the league. It shows you the consistency that they've had. Yusuf Saddam, another player who should be knocking on the doors of the national team coach because he has had one of the best seasons. I think to me, after the departure of Pokatema, I wondered what will happen with that Red Arrows midfield. Yusuf Saddam has taken a lot of responsibility. He's coming, he's a box-to-box midfielder. He ticks the boxes in both boxes. His own boxes and his opposition box, which is very, very key when you're going into this final. You need such personalities. Joseph Piri, he partners Ricky Banda most of the times, or maybe Jemba will partner Ricky Banda. That's where the magic happens. I think to me, Alassane Diarra very, very integral in Red Arrows midfield because he always picks up those little pockets of spaces and make things happen. I think it's going to be an interesting final. Two young coaches, two tacticians, both like to attack, and we expect an explosive final.
And perhaps as we conclude on this, who are you giving it to?
I like doing the opposite. You know in every situation, whenever Augustine is, me and Augustine. So Augustine is taking an easy option because by default,
he's taking Red Arrows.
He's going for his Red Arrows. But I think for me, the only work I expect from Napsa Stars, I have followed them a couple of games this season actually, and I must say I think I'm one of the few that have watched most of their own games. And coming into this match, remember this team is a team that has not qualified by fluke. They've worked hard, and what they do, the biggest thing they do, avoid losing the match in 90 minutes, which they have successfully done in their last two games. They did it against GBFC. They did it against Ghana. Now, they have one more hurdle between them being millionaires or remaining to celebrate their Super League qualification as a single present for the management. But I think for me, really, when it comes to football on the field of play, NAPSA Stars has got capacity to hold their Red Arrows in 90 minutes. Where still, if it gets into penalties, I can safely say Mukwanya will be the man of the moment to watch. The NAPSA Stars young goalkeeper is very, very good at penalties, and he's likely to be the hero if the game goes beyond 90 minutes. For me, Red Arrows, if they really want to get a double, they must hustle, they must work within 90 minutes and destroy NAPSA Stars within regulation time. Anything beyond regulation time, it's a gamble, and the advantage will go to NAPSA Stars.
But let's look at the fact that the final is being played at the home of Red Arrows and Corruption. How is it giving Red Arrows an upper hand?
Well, there's no upper hand in this. This thing is planned, really. And I think when you look at how ABSA has been arranged, it's unfortunate that everything else had been planned for Heroes Stadium, but the venue has been booked, and to those of us who like Sinachi, we might find our way at Heroes Stadium watching Sinachi and busy watching football on the phone. So it will depend on how it will happen. But clearly, the settling of Nkoloma Stadium in no way, it does not give advantage to Nkoloma Stadium. These guys, Red Arrows, when it gives them advantage, those are the times when you see their Facebook pages talking about free entry when you come in your replica. This one, they have no control on entry. It's ABSA that is managing everything at the stadium. So it will be in front of their home fans, yes, the few that will manage to go in, NAPSA Stars. But I think it's a very, very neutral venue. It's 11 players on the field of play. And I think if you are playing at home, you won the league at home a week ago, 7 days ago, they won it from there. And now, 7 days later, they have another big trophy, the only cup in the Republic of Zambia, and I'm hoping that they should just share the spoils. There's no way the record will continue that the winners of the ABSA Cup will always be Premier League teams. It should be the difference this afternoon.
The graduates
should be able to do something very extraordinary, I must say.
Augustine, let's not shy away from the fact that we are looking at the NAPSA squad and the NAPSA team that has been there. But you know, Angorapson, I say this, you say you are going direct for Red Arrows. Is that true?
I think there's no hiding here. I've grown up a Red Arrows fan. I was
in Chelsea.
Yeah, I've grown up a Red Arrows fan, and one thing is that during this period, I think I've been fortunate enough to be covering the football club closely, and it has given me an insight which probably most do not have and see what Red Arrows happens. And I'll start from the venue. I think to me, the venue, yes, it gives Red Arrows a little bit of an advantage because it's being played at Nkoloma Stadium, but there's nothing that we can do. Red Arrows this entire week, they haven't been training at Nkoloma Stadium because they are not allowed. Because now that stadium is in the hands of ABSA Cup, and they just gave Red Arrows the slot to train yesterday together with NAPSA Stars. Yeah, I think to me it has been fair enough. Red Arrows haven't been training from Nkoloma Stadium. And one interesting thing is that 2013, when Red Arrows won the ABSA Cup, I'll take you back. The first team they played in the quarterfinal was the service team in National Assembly. They beat National Assembly. Then they went on to beat Green Buffaloes, another service team in the semi-finals. And in the finals, they played in Changa Rangers and Nkoloma Stadium, a team wearing yellow. This time around, Red Arrows beat Nkwazi at Davis Stadium.
Blue this afternoon.
Then they beat Green Eagles at Woodland Stadium. And then they're playing an NAPSA Stars who are wearing yellow.
No, it's blue today. That's the difference. They're wearing blue.
They're yellow side. They will put on yellow. They'll be yellow in the NAPSA kit. But all in all, I think to me, this is one of the best finals that we'll ever see because it's being competed by one of a team which has been promoted and a team which has won the league title, and by two young coaches, which gives me the excitement to see that Zambian is heading in the right path. These are young tacticians who are fearless. They try to play attractive football. NAPSA Stars plays very, very good attractive football, and they're very, very solid defensively. Red Arrows on the other side, they're playing attractive football and very, very solid again defensively. So we're going to see a game of two teams that will try and attack each other and try and outwit each other. We're expecting an explosive final, and my heart tells me Red Arrows.
Rapson, before we look at the teams that are being relegated, let's look at the top scorers chart. Did it have to reach till game week 33 for Friday Sam to be dropped after him leaving the league?
You see, Friday was like a GBFC owner. He left it at 14, and he has played a couple of months in South Africa, and no one touched 14. And after he left, where is GBFC now? He left him at the correct time.
Yes.
So if that guy came back to Zambian football and he goes back to GBFC, I wouldn't be shocked, because clearly, like Augustine has alluded to, I think teams are playing much more attractive football if they are playing as a unit. I'll come to Red Arrows. If they can have a record of 14 different goal scorers, that makes the opponents very, very difficult to plan on which striker to curtail. Because everybody else is likely to score. That's the beauty about it. On the other hand, it's a little bit disadvantageous when you look at the role of a centre forward. Your role is to score. And now you have these centre forwards who are unable to be very consistent when it comes to scoring. It puts the country at a very, very awkward position when it comes to qualifiers, which will be happening in the next few weeks. In the next few weeks, end of May, right?
Yes.
In the next few weeks, we should be able to start qualifiers, and I think our first game is against Ivory Coast. And when you look at the top scorers chart in reference to the question that you are posing, it's very, very tricky, I must confess, really. But on the other hand, when you look at it from the bigger picture, I think if you can have so many different goal scorers, it makes it interesting. But remember, the role of a centre forward is to score goals. If you are unable to score goals, you are nothing with regards to your job.
Augustine, let's look at the relegation zone. We've seen teams being relegated. And I remember the beginning of the season, you gave your overview to say these are teams that are going to be relegated. Maybe for some, they've survived, but for some have been relegated.
We only missed one.
Yeah, I think at the start of the season, Chambishi was on the list. Lusaka Dynamos was the team that wasn't on the list, but the other three that have dropped, I think, were on the list. I think to me it was very, very clear.
You just swapped LOD and
Chambishi. If you look at, we start with Indeni, the way they survived last season, I think it was boardroom decision. You remember carefully, because the team which survived last season was Green Eagles when it came to actual games being played on the field and the points that were collected. Chambishi survived on the final day. Boardroom decisions. So you can see problems started from there with Chambishi, and the departure of Mwenya Chipepo, I think, to me signaled that there will be bigger problems at Chambishi. David Chirufya, the players, he said that I cannot coach these guys who do not who are not very intelligent. Sorry to say that.
But that's what he said.
He went back and started coaching the same players that are Dow, that he called Dow. He said, and then what do you expect from a coach who comes and says these players are not good enough? And then he starts coaching you. How do you apply yourself as a footballer? I think to me, problems started from there. Indeni, even in the transfer market, they didn't do their recruitment very well. I felt it's one area where they could have done well to try and strengthen. Look at a good example of Prison Leopards. They were struggling together with Indeni last season, but what did they do coming this season? They strengthened their team. And Kafue Celtic, we all expected beautiful, expansive football from Kafue Celtic, but immaturity. We talked about that being the one reason which you get Kafue Celtic relegated, because you can see Kafue Celtic go to places like Zesco United, Red Arrows, Nkana. They attack these big teams, but what they do not know is that they are leaving themselves at the back very, very open. That's the reason they were getting beat 4-0, 4-1 by teams like Forest Rangers, because they were finding spaces in their defense. Credit to them, they came and they were very brave. They only knew one way of playing football, and that was to attack, and they did that stuck to it, but it didn't save them at the end.
One of the reasons why
Konkola Blades
is not champion.
Exactly. They got, is it 4 points from Zesco United? Yeah. Konkola Blades, I didn't expect much from Konkola Blades. I think to me, when they got promoted, they sold their top striker to Kansanshi Dynamos. And when you're coming into this league, goals are very, very crucial when you're down there. You need someone who will be getting you the goals that will get you in trouble. I think it was too little too late, the signing of Tapson Kaseva, because the season at that point, Kongola Blades were bottom of the table when they signed Tapson Kaseva. You needed that at the start of the season to have that experienced guy who get you the goals, be solid at the back, and be very, very hard to beat at your own ground or home ground, and they didn't do just that. Chambeshi, they defied the odds. I think they turned it around. I think in the last 10 games of the season, they had won 5 in a row, which was one win was an impressive win against the relegation side, threatened side, which was Nkwazi Football Club and Koloma Stadium. Because every time when you meet fellow relegation rivals, those are 6-pointers, and they did their job by getting all the points in these games, and it has saved them very, very well. Chambishi.
And part of their service should actually we give credit to Ghana Football Club. We
donated home and away.
We donated
6 points.
6 points, yes.
Kitwe teams donated, was it?
Power Dynamos donated 3.
9 points?
No, 3.
9 points by Kitwe teams.
Overall.
Oh, yes,
yes. And
we gave Chambishi 9 points.
9 points.
And it saved them. And probably towards the end, you saw that Nkwazi were getting into trouble, and it would have been bad going into the final day of the season if they didn't beat the struggling Chambishi at the Nkana Stadium. Yeah, I think to me, one thing I got from that game, why did the Indeni go and play their home game in Kitwe?
TV, right.
I think to me, these are things that we need to try and rectify in terms of running Zambian football. This is one thing which got them relegated. Because if going into that game against Nkwazi, the gap was just 1 point. Do you risk your status in the FIFA Super League because of TV rights? Really?
Status, whether they won or they didn't.
If they had beaten Nkwazi, they would have leapfrogged Nkwazi, and Nkwazi would have been the side which would have been in the relegation zone, and they would have had their fate in their own hands. But now look where it has taken them because of TV rights. They went one very big game.
That game which was being played in Kitwe at 18 hours is a game that changed the status of Indeni.
Yes, looking at the status quo. No, looking at the status quo, because at that particular time, Indeni Nkwazi were the team which was just sitting above that relegation zone. And Indeni knew a win against Nkwazi would drop Nkwazi in that relegation zone, and they would leapfrog Nkwazi into those safety places. And at that particular time, you would have your fate in your own hands. That was a very, very big game. And Indeni, I think to me, sorry to say this, were wrong by making the decision to go and play at Nkana Stadium, moving all the way from Ndora to go and play at Nkana Stadium. They will live to regret that day because they made the wrong decision.
Agorapson, you are disagreeing with that.
It's the TV rights, really. I'm disagreeing because you see, in football, yes, the home ambience gives the team that zeal to participate and probably impress your home fans. And in as much as it was a very, very big decision, I know it was a very, very big decision, and that decision tended to be a decider with regards to their status quo at this point as we are discussing. But I think generally, changing, we've seen a couple of games that shift because of TV rights, because one game has to be played at 13, the other game needs to be played at 15. We have to rearrange games, and probably that very weekend, maybe Indeni didn't even have a pitch of their own to use. And there are so many factors, but I think the biggest thing there is TV rights. And a game is a game of 11 players against 11. So to say it's a decider, well, Nkwazi was also trying to play that game at a very, very high level, because even their situation was not safe at that point. They all went in that game to say it's either Nkwazi or Chambishi, one of the two in that game, regardless of the
result,
regardless of the location, one of the two was to be
dropped down
by the other, not by any other team. This one wins, this one goes on top. This one wins, this one.
Then what did Indeni do? They made that game become 50-50 by taking it to Nkana Stadium at a neutral venue. I think to me, someone has to take account of that decision, and they have to feel themselves that they got Indeni relegated because of that decision. Because by default, if the game was at Indeni Sports Complex, believe you me, Indeni would have been the favorites going into the game. But immediately when the game was moved at Chirata, that's where they lost it. I'm not saying that Nkwazi would have gone to Indeni Sports Complex and lost. But what I'm saying is that home advantage, I think to me, it matters most when it comes to, especially towards the final stretch of the season, when there are relegation issues. I think to me it's very, very difficult. Look at Cafe Celtic. Where have they been playing their home games? Edwin Imboeda. Where did they take the last game when they got relegated? Kosa Stadium. I think to me you can see that sometimes there's that when you are familiar with the surroundings. I think to me it even builds up your confidence, and it has costed in then. I think personally I feel it has costed in then because that game against Kwaz was very, very key for their survival.
I would have thought we've seen the teams. Is this what you expected from the relegation zone that we have?
Well, my expectations were a little bit different. In that at the beginning of the season, everybody has an equal chance. Everybody has an equal chance to win the league on day one. Just like we see in Europe, Arsenal is always number one on match day one. But when it comes to the end, they are always neither here nor there. So for me, really seeing Kongola Blades getting down, I think they didn't do their homework when they qualified to come back to the Super League. They didn't reinforce. We saw how they started very badly. We saw how the technical bench has changed hands a couple of times. I think they have to go back and refocus and come back stronger. We have seen Indeni also, has spoken, it's been well talked about, and I think for me, the biggest losers this season is Lusaka Dynamos, really, if you ask me. They're the biggest losers in that we saw a couple of players leaving them in the January transfer window because of, probably I wouldn't confirm whether it was sponsorship issues, but they lost a couple of players and they started getting new players who came into the squad, and I think we saw them towards the end of the season that they only messed it up, I think, in the last 2-3 games.
They were a better team with boys.
In fact, the boys were very, 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 very ambitious, I must confirm. I watched them beat Forest Rangers and I was like, this team, some games this season, they couldn't even make 18 players. 18 players to sit on the bench. They couldn't make at some point. And I think, is it Matthews?
Matthews
Perry. He's done a very, very fantastic job with those lads, and given an opportunity, as he goes down to the Eden League, if he can keep those boys, the type of ambition they have, they should be able to bounce back with sponsorship. But I think relegation has it all. We needed to drop 4 teams. We needed to bring in Romana Radiants, Napsa Stars, Musa. The last one, I'm not sure, but I think 99% is going to Nchanga Rangers because they just need a draw anyway. And they're playing Kaisa, a team that has been relegated already in their last game. When you look at Mufulira Wanderers, who's fighting to dislodge Nchanga Rangers from the 4th spot, they need an outright win. That outright win needs to come with a minimum of 2. And they are playing a team that beat them 2-0 in Osaka here. But this time around, I think Zesco Malite is traveling to Mufulira.
Yes.
I think they'll be away in Mufulira. No. Zesco Malite is in Osaka. Mufulira Wanderers is coming here.
Oh, it is coming. Both are away. Nchanga is in Kabwe.
Nchanga Rangers is traveling to Kabwe to play Kaisa. But Kaisa is a team that has been confirmed relegated already. So probably the players' morale is already there. But again, they should be party spoilers. We need party spoilers in this country. They should just rise to the occasion and play their lungs out and beat Nchanga Rangers and hope that Mufulira Wanderers also performs a miracle. Because, Mufulira Wanderers also, they are coming to Queensmead Stadium, where the home of Zesco Malite. That is the same stadium where Nchanga Rangers succumbed to Zesco Malite by 2-0. And now Mufulira Wanderers is paying them a visit next weekend, and we should be able to see a very, very good game. And I'm only hoping that for once, all these games should be played at the same time to avoid match fixing or purportedly match fixing, because they shouldn't be played at different times.
Just a quick one. Maybe just a quick one as we wrap up on this one, Angolapson. From the teams that are being relegated, are we seeing any team bouncing back next season?
Well, there were the teams that have dropped in Indeni, Konkola Blades, Lusaka Dynamos, and Kafue Celtic. Well, the only team that I think is likely to reorganize quickly and come back very strong is Kafue Celtic. These other ones, they will have an issue of a mass exodus of players. You don't expect a player like Tapson Kaseva to drop from the Super League. He comes back to Eden very highly likely that he will find.
He left NAPSA when they were struggling. They went down and he left.
Exactly. So very high chances that these players that have been playing for Konkola Blades, some of them had quite a couple of flashes of performances here and there where they are able to join the teams that have gone into the Super League from Eden. They are able to join existing Super League teams. So a team that is likely to just go down in Eden and fight to come back very strongly with consistency and good sponsorship is probably just Kafue Celtic. Remember that there are so many vacancies now. We saw ZNS pulling out of sponsorship. So there are a lot of vacancies now. The slot buyers in Changa Rangers, they should introduce this plan to their colleagues. There are several teams that are struggling, and now we have slots in Eden where there are 2 slots, eh?
Yes.
Up for grabs, 2 slots.
Slot buyers.
Of course. This is not a secret.
Just quickly about the teams that have been relegated. I think when they go to the Eden League, I think they'll find it very, very tough because one between my team, Fulia Wanderers and Changa Rangers, will be remaining for next season. And there's a city of Lusaka who will probably get better next season with Albert Mpande in their ranks. Quito United can get better because they have been favorites when it comes to the lower league. They have been being promoted this season, relegated the next. Indeni, I think they'll struggle. They have got a lot of issues going on at the football club, and I just feel they just put their house in order and bounce back as soon as possible. Kafue Celtic, like Uncle Rapson has said, looks very, very exciting, but it will be difficult because the news that we are getting is that most of their key players are moving on. They are moving on for greener pastures. Peter Chikola probably is one of them who's probably getting closer to signing for Sturm Graz in Austria. Albert Kangwanda is believed to be going to Europe, but we wait and see. They have got Thomas Zulu in central midfield. I think to me he has been one of the best central midfielders in the league. I do not see them holding on to him. Probably they'll loan him to another Super League side. If you look at Konkola Blades, what can bring them up is their home stadium because it's always fortress when you go there. A lot of teams have covered a lot of kilometers to reach it, and it gives them an advantage. So probably they'll go in as one of those teams. Lusaka Dynamos, if things do not get right at Lusaka Dynamos, this might be the dying of the football club. I think to me, the last time when Lusaka Dynamos got relegated, they went as far as reaching Division 2, if you remember very well. Yeah. So I think to me, it's very, very tricky league to go in the Eden League, and you wouldn't wish for anyone to go there. But these teams will have to fight their way back.
You know, for some of the games, Augustine, that we have, there's Chambishi FC facing Kawi Warriors, Green Buffaloes facing Power Dynamos, Green Eagles versus Forest Rangers, Indeni versus Red Arrows. I'm sure it's cancelled due to the APSA. And Kansanshi Dynamos versus Nkwazi, Kongola Blades versus Beautycon, Nkana FC versus Lusaka Dynamos, Prison Lepers versus Kafue Celtic, and Zesco United versus Zanaco. But maybe before the Nkana FC game versus Lusaka Dynamos, let's look at the derby that we had. Ango Rapson, just a quick one on it.
Which one was it?
The Kitwe derby.
There was a team in yellow in Kitwe.
And the team in red.
I don't know. Was it there?
No, it was not there, but some team lost in Kitwe. Oh. I don't know if it was played in Mass or something. Maybe
no, the only thing I remember hearing is that the stadium was small, so most of the Ghana fans didn't find space.
No. Actually, the visiting fans were the ones that filled the stadium.
Okay,
it was red.
Okay, really, that was an interesting match, and I think all things being
and yeah, let's talk about the stadium. I think I've seen a lot of debates. What's the way forward now?
All things being equal, the level of the love and passion for that game, that fixture, by the way, that fixture, it doesn't deserve to be played at a small stadium like Arthur Davis Stadium, really. It's very small. Not even Chilata can handle it. Even Chilata's capacity is...
But it struggles, yeah, when it comes to that game.
It's slightly smaller, but we also how all the terraces were filled to the brim. And kudos to the levels of discipline from the fans. For once, we had a clean game. We were beaten. Nkana was beaten clean and Nkana was beaten. Nkana was beaten clean and square on the day. And congratulations to Power Dynamos for emerging victorious on that day. Remember, in the reverse fixture, it was Nkana Football Club that carried the day. So, in all fairness, we can't win 2 games and still have the Black Mountain on our side. So for now, we are busy trying to do some mining.
Augustine.
And Power Dynamo was busy running rings around us and scoring. So congratulations to Power Dynamos on that day, and it was good to see them win by 1-0 and fantastic.
But I think Rapson, let's look at the way that game is being hyped. But let's look at, we've got a lot of debuts even here in Lusaka. But what causes it not to be hyped like
Others
that?
are just fixtures; they are not debuts.
I think to me, you look at the Kitwe Derby, I think it's the most colorful game in Zambian football.
Yes.
By far, I think it's the most colorful derby in Zambian football. If you look at the rivalry, the intensity in the game, I think to me what we need to see in the near future, going forward, I think we need to see the derby being played as deciders for big things, continental places, championship places. I think to me these are big teams in Power Dynamos and Ghana. I think to me we do not love to see one sleeping every season, because let's be honest, in the last 20 years, I think to me we haven't seen much of these two sides in terms of winning the league title. It has been Zesco and Zanaco. And you saw what the 13th title, what it brought to Ghana Football Club, and the 12th, which was won by Wilson Mware. Yeah, I think to me, starting from the 12th and the 13th, you can see the passion they have when it comes to their football clubs. What we need to see now is these teams being giants of Zambian football, challenging for that top most honor which Red Arrows currently have in winning the league title. We need to see Power Dynamos and Ghana go head to head, because it will make this game even more bigger. A good example is when Man City was playing Liverpool. You saw how big that game was, because they were fighting for something prestigious. We need to see it in the Kitwe Derby. They need to be fighting.
Let's begin by also checking how the team managers managed that game on that day, where Klopp and
Guardiola
hugged each other. It was an intensity match, a game of high intensity, great performances,
and in the end,
great goals, very nice hug. You can see the hug that guy.
Respect.
And
you could see those are the same ways that
you don't greet each other.
Those are the same ways that which Coach Perry Mutapa talked about when he was in Mazabuka after a very frustrating defeat. He says, at the end of the day, it's football we should win, not Napsa Stars, not Musa, what he said. That was always. Football should win, and in the Kitwe Derby, at the end of the day, we need to see football win, and it was a very peaceful derby. I must say, we didn't have a lot of incidents. I even saw one Power Dynamos fan winning 1,000 from Nkana, being given peacefully. And I think to me, credit must go to the fans. They behaved very well. About the stadiums, the best way they can do is to increase the capacity of their two stadiums, Nkana and Power. I wouldn't love to see a Kitwe Derby being played in Dola. It wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense. A Kitwe Derby should be played in Kitwe. Yes, it's just that road. You cross to the other side and you go and play the Kitwe Derby. Simple.
Yes.
Why should we be traveling through the dual carriage way going into Ndola to play Kitwe Derby? It wouldn't make sense.
For sure, it wouldn't make sense. So the best we can do is look at the capacity. Look at how the stadium was sold out in the last fixture that was there. It was sold out. The cameras were all over. We could see the cameras. We could see the fans. We could see the joy. The fans were so happy. I didn't see any space where somebody can squeeze and say, I want to sit. How many people did you see standing? Plenty of people were standing just to have a glimpse of Nkana Football Club on the day.
A glimpse of who?
I'm sure even Uncle Fred upstairs there is agreeing to say a glimpse of our reality. Okay, but let's give credit to the Ghana fans on a well behaved day that they have. No, but we're looking at Ghana. We are looking at Ghana fans and Rapson who were banned for some games.
You know, that's a big team. Let's can we look at my Kaisa, please? My Kaisa has been relegated.
So what has happened to your Kaisa?
My Kaisa has been relegated, and you know
But Rapson, why is it that all the time you go with the wrong teams?
No, I don't go with the wrong teams. I think sometimes it's also important when you look at how the team is being sponsored.
Yes.
The lady that is running Kaisa lost the husband who was. Who started that team?
So when
you look at the way that team has been managed, the death of the husband, at some point I thought that would be the end. But she carried on and said, the vision of my late husband has to go on. It's not easy to run a club as a woman. Congratulations to her, kudos to her. may your husband rest in peace, and I think continue supporting that team. Dropping down into the provincial football is not the beginning of the end. It's the beginning of the new things to happen, restoration of players in the Central Province League. And that I can assure you that when Kaiser drops down into the provincial league where they have gone now, they will bounce back, because Central Province, they will dominate that province and still come back. Maybe the biggest challenge will be when they win provincial football. That tournament we normally see from Margaret Monagatu Stadium. That one is not.
That's very, very difficult. And
you are 10, and they are looking for 4.
Yes.
And
one thing about the provincial football that Kaiser has dropped in, I think to me we've seen decent administration.
Kaiser can survive. There are those slots.
Those slots,
do they have enough? Do they have enough Kaiser to buy those slots? So the biggest,
those ones we are not really buying. They are giveaways.
The way forward for Kaiser will be when they drop to the National League. I think to me the league is well structured in the provincial league in Kabwe. We've seen a lot of talented players who have come through. Some have gone to Shameo. Very, very decent players. What they can do is that as they are playing their games, they are scouting for top talent to come up with when they get promoted, to try and go with them in the Eden League and trying to compete. I think to me it's very, very sad that we've seen Kaiser go down after the death of the husband. I think to me I also question, will this Kaiser team stay long? I think they even played the Super League at that point, and they got relegated unfortunately, but they tried. I think to me would love to see them back up.
Just a quick one, Corruption, due to time. Just your final remarks as we end the show.
Final remarks? Do I have any final remarks? Let me try and remember. Yeah, okay, I remember. All the best to Team Napsa Stars, and I'm doing this for Augustine and not anybody else. It's just Augustine, who is always my opponent. He's always going the wrong direction for me. So for once, this afternoon, all roads leads to Nkoloma Stadium, and all the fans that would like to see an electrifying final, ABSA final, find your way to Nkoloma Stadium. It's 50 kwacha all round. The VIP is strictly by invitation, so let's stand in numbers and just support the only cup that we have in the land, and may the best team win.
Augustine.
I have 2 people that I am always with, Coach Oswald and Coach Perry. These are 2.
So where do you stand now?
No, these are 2 of my brothers, and the last conversation I had with them, both of them were with me. We were together like the way we are seated, and I said, on this day, I will not be with any one of you. May the best team win. So those I think that's all I can say.
Okay,
May the best team win.
Yeah, I think there were a couple of Red Arrows fans who said I should receive a shout out. One was Chichi and one was Michelo. I think shout out to both of you. As we go into this final, I think to me it's an opportunity for Red Arrows players to write their names in the history books. It has never happened in the history of the football club winning a double, and Benedict Chepeshi leading his boys this afternoon at Nkoloma Stadium has got that chance to write his name in the history books, becoming the first captain to win the league and the cup double for the Airmen. All the best to Red Arrows Football Club as you take on Napsa Stars, and all the best as well to Napsa. All the best as well to Napsa Stars, and we hope for a very, very good game at Nkoloma Stadium. Everyone should be at Nkoloma Stadium. It's the place to be, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for watching.
On a light note, before we go, can we see those planes flying again today?
They will.
Because when Napsa Stars wins, I expect one of them to fall in Makeni.
That's all that we have for you today, but don't forget that our very own Kamle Stars today will be hosting, we'll be traveling all the way from Kablonga boys all the way to Kalikiliki, where they'll be facing Kalikiliki United in a game, week 21, which is also a big game. But as at now, the Kamlet team, which is supposed to be playing another league, Angorapson, which is maybe a division league, something that we'll discuss after the show, is playing a friendly at Woodland Stadium with City of Lusaka, City Yamoto. Hopefully we'll give you the results and the update over that game, but hopefully for those who are going to be free, can go and drum up support for the Kamlet Stars that will be playing Kalikiliki United. That's in Kalikiliki. For me, Amos, aka Amore, not forgetting one Elias, who has been directing us here in the studio, and Uncle Fred upstairs there for giving us or beaming us live there on your TV sets. We say bye bye, see you next week, same time, same place. We're out.
it.